Hello, everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Iuliia, and today I'm very excited to welcome Alex and supposedly Talia, but she's not with us today.
No, so you've just got me today.
Yes, exactly. We will have all the show for ourselves.
Brilliant.
So welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm very happy to have you with me, and thank you for taking me out of my comfort zone as well.
Well, you're going to be taking me out of my comfort zone as well,
let's see.
So we'll be in it together.
We'll do that, exactly. So Alex, she's one of the founders of Naker brand, and what I understood that, you were looking for a product on the market for yourself and obviously for Talia, but you guys couldn't find something.
So we are both busy mums of three children each.
Yes, exactly.
So
this is a separate podcast.
Yes. And you know what it's like when you're juggling a career and being a mum and a wife. Life is very, very busy. And as you get older, we were feeling depleted. And so we were looking for a health solution, something that it was clean and healthy to help solve that problem. And for many, many years, I worked on and with pearl farms, cultured pearl farms all around the world. And interestingly, a lot of the workers on the pearl farms, so a lot of these pearl farms are in really remote destinations. And a lot of the workers were collecting these beautiful oyster shells at the time of the pearl harvest. And the shells themselves, once the oyster has produced a pearl, the shells themselves are very mineral dense, incredibly good for you, both the meat from the oyster and the shell itself. So the workers on the farms were A, eating the meat, and B, grinding the shells of the oyster to take all of these minerals, because they were also mineral deficient. And this was a real natural kind of health boost for them. So essentially that's where the concept or the idea came from, is like, okay, well, if the workers of the pearl farm are taking this product, let's explore it. And that's really how
So
idea
you've
started.
seen it with your own eyes.
Saw it with my own eyes.
Yeah.
And during that time of working in the pearl farm, it's a sort of well-known secret within the industry that this product is so, as I say, mineral rich and so good for you. So essentially, really, it's a byproduct of the pearling industry.
Yeah. So you've seen it with your own eyes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the workers of the pearl farm were taking this product to help themselves. So we just thought, why not? Having worked in the industry, I had access to the raw material, the shells. I knew the workers that were taking it. Everybody in the industry was taking it, but it just wasn't being commercialized outside of the industry. So really, that's where the kind of opportunity and the idea came from.
So there is no really other product like that on the market?
So yes and no. You can buy pearl powder on Amazon. I wouldn't. The quality would be terrible. So I wouldn't advise it. So essentially, there was no good quality product on the market. So there's a very big difference between oysters, shells essentially, that come from the ocean, that are saltwater, and that are very, very mineral rich, very, very good quality. They spend about 4 to 5 years in the ocean. And then you've got freshwater shells, which tend to be grown in China, in the lakes. They don't spend as long in the water. They're not in the ocean. So they're not developing as many of the ocean minerals. So we're focusing on the saltwater shells. So no, to answer your question, there isn't the saltwater variety, the high quality variety, it's really, really difficult to access.
That's amazing. We're the first one.
Yeah, exactly. We're the first. Well, there are a couple of other starting to arise, but really, we are the first ones to actually put a brand on it. And look to grow the industry and grow the brand really with a kind of a long-term and sort of international mindset.
I'm using your product as well,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons why we agreed to do this collaboration together. And when people ask me, is it really working? And I said, when I look at the founders, at you and Talia, the ladies that, glowing, they have children, beautiful marriage, you have, I'm sure, businesses, and it's not a need for you, right, to produce something.
Yeah.
You basically did it for yourself, and you live by example.
Yeah.
And that's the best.
We do, and we try to. We do eat, sleep, breathe, embody the brand, like it's become our collective fourth child. We really have given birth to this beautiful thing that I'm sure one day will become much bigger than us. But we, as you say, we do try and embody it. We live the lifestyle that we talk about. We obviously take the product ourselves and have done since the very beginning. So we launched the brand to the public a year ago, but we actually started the brand 2.5 years ago. So we had a year and a half of creating the business, developing the brand, doing the research. So we've actually been taking the product ourselves for 2.5 years, and we love it. We love it. Some changes you see more instantly, so improvements in skin, improvements in sleep. These sorts of things are more immediate. But some of the more of the long-term benefits, like improvement in bone density, improvement in hair quality, these things take a little bit longer to materialize.
Yeah, definitely.
I also use it topically as well. So 3 times a week, I obviously with the capsules you take them orally, but this product can be taken topically as well, which is well known in traditional Chinese medicine.
How would I do that?
So you get the capsule, you open up the capsule, I pour it into my hand, and then I use 3 times a week, I use this amazing natural beef tallow face cream. It's quite heavy, but it's just full of nutrients as well. I get my pearl powder, I get my beef tallow, mix it together and sort of create this little paste, smother it on my face before I go to bed. And it's slightly grainy. So it gives this like very slight sort of exfoliating effect. Leave it on overnight. And the next morning, your face feel like a baby's bottom.
Okay.
So clear and you've got to try it tonight. So clear and smooth and...
But can I use it with any cream? Or?
You can use it with any cream. So I tend to not use it with anything that's perfumed because it sort of defeats the object a little bit. This is so natural and it's so pure.
Yeah, it has to match the
essence of the product. But you can use any cream. You can experiment.
And Alex, before we get to the business, just tell me a little bit about yourself. What did you do before Naker was created?
So before Naker was created, as mentioned, I used to work in the pearling industry. So for many years, I worked on a pearl farm in Ras Al Khaimah, which is the northern emirate just above Dubai.
Okay.
On a pearl farm there for many, many years, which was a beautiful experience. I learned a lot about the industry and the oysters and also the culture in the UAE as well. They have a very distinct culture that ties in with the pearling industry and the heritage of pearl trading. Back before they had a big industry of oil and gas, they were the biggest pearl traders
I didn't know that.
in the world.
Wow.
So all of the big brands like Tiffany and Cartier, would all go, this was back in the sort of 60s and 70s, would all travel to the Middle East to buy and trade all of their natural pearls. So that particular region has this very, very strong heritage with the pearling
Still.
industry. Still, so there's not so much trading done anymore because the natural pearl industry is, it's only about 3% now of the total pearl market. The industries have changed. It's dominated by cultured pearling now. So the industry has shifted, and obviously with the introduction of oil and gas, the focus of that region has changed. But there's still very much a historical love for pearls in that region.
So let's get back to, to the early days as well of you. How were you raised? What did you do in your life before you become this professional?
I was born in the north of England. I'm an only child. And yes,
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best.
In fact, I'm meeting so many only children.
I think we are like,
now
we're just connected.
Yeah, there's something about an only child to an only child, I think. So yeah, I was born in the north of England, but grew up in the middle of England for the majority of my life. Grew up in a little countryside village, in a very quintessential little village in a town called Northamptonshire. Ponies and village greens and all of the little local pub and all of the sort of quintessential English things you can think of. That was the sort of the childhood I had. My parents divorced when I was 7 or 8, and yeah, my parents divorced when I was 7. So my dad and both parents retrospectively met other people. My dad remarried, my mother didn't. So that was quite tricky to navigate as a child, going through that alone, being an only child at that stage. That was probably one of my kind of earliest memories of having to navigate that difficult time. Because you don't know anything else, do you?
And I think at that time they had no idea as well what they were all
No,
doing.
and yeah, I guess in that time there was no therapy for kids. There was no, you just sort of got on with it. And divorce is a tricky thing for anyone. For the adults and the parents, it's a difficult landscape to navigate. So that was probably an earliest memory of a kind of incident that I guess shapes you. And being a only child, it makes you quite independent. I think that was probably the earliest path to me becoming quite an independent child then, but an independent person. And then a few years later, when I was 14, my mum passed away. That was, it was, it was a shock. It wasn't anything that was expected. And again, it was, in fact, that time of my life, I have quite a bit of amnesia, memory loss, actually, of quite significant time around that part of my life. It's probably because it was obviously triggered by the trauma.
Yeah, your body tried to protect you.
Yeah, your body kind of just goes into self-defense mode. But again, what I do remember is that kind of independence element sort of kicking in again, and that sort of need or that of being forced to be independent. It's again the adults around you are dealing with their own grief and their own way of handling it. And again, back in that time, There was no,
You were kind of on your own.
yeah, you just got on with it. There was no support given.
Yeah.
I had a lovely world. I was really into horses. I loved horses and I used to ride, and it was my life, my world when I was little. So I remember just sort of immersing myself into my horsey world and, all my horsey friends. And that was sort of my, safe place, my happy place for a long time.
What I love about that, having this experience, which was obviously very painful, you managed to build a beautiful family
Yeah.
and have 3 kids, not one. Was it something, related to your childhood that you wanted to have a big, happy family?
I think definitely, yeah. Because I come from a small, essentially fragmented family, um, and did feel that I was kind of on my own a lot of the time. I definitely yearned for that family unit. Um, but it's funny because now having 3 kids, sometimes it's so overwhelming. Just not used to that. The dynamic of threes, when you're one, you just not, you just have yourself to, deal with.
A lot of alone time.
Yes, yes. So but you're right. I did yearn for that big family unit, that sense of belonging, that sense of people around, the house being full. That family unit, very much so. Um, but yeah, it does make me laugh sometimes, especially when the children are arguing about this silliest thing, like she did this and he did this and that's mine and I'm not drinking that cup because she's drunk from it. Guys, come on, I'm just not used to that. So it does, make me sort of laugh sometimes. I just sort of think about that, dynamic. I've gone from literally one extreme to the other.
So, going from the, I guess it's a lot of reflection happening, when you have a little bit tough start, or it's break you, or it's going to make you so happy and very positive person, which I think you are.
Yeah, definitely. I do look at the positive in everything. And I am super hardworking. I always have been. I remember when I was graduating from university, I couldn't wait to leave home. Like, I was just desperate to go to London. That was like all I had, in my mind. And I did. As soon as I graduated from university, I went straight to London and got myself my first job, which was on the graduate training scheme of an amazing ad agency in London. And that was really like the beginning of my career. And it was, so I just loved being in that agency, loved learning from the people around me. It was just, it was really the beginning of things for me. The ad agency life was, even back then was really dynamic, really creative, very, very hard work. Some of the clients that I had to work on were quite demanding and interesting, but it really taught me the lesson of the work ethic and the process, like the creative process, how things are to be done, and that really stayed with me. And I still use those kind of creative processes now in the business.
And in terms of the wellness, was it always for you, this lifestyle, or something happened that, you switched to wellness, to being healthy, to look after yourself? What was the reason?
I mean, I would say fitness has always been a part of my life. Sport, fitness, activity, always been active. But when I was younger, certainly in my 20s, just in London, drinking too much, probably partying too much, all of those things. But then I'd still get up and go to work the next day, or I'd still go to the gym at the end of the day, or still go and play whatever sport the weekend. Like, so it was both. Yes, I was partying and having fun and going out, but also I was still super fit as well. Best of both worlds. But I think as you get older and as you become a parent, you have a responsibility to try and be the best version of yourself and be healthy, especially losing a parent when I was young. And, you know, I don't forget that. Um, so I'm very aware of that. So I think becoming a parent definitely kickstarts you to like, okay, I've got to take things seriously. And actually also COVID as well.
Hmm.
So, obviously COVID, we're all locked down in our respective homes, and it did give me a lot of time for reflection. And I think the way that the COVID epidemic was handled globally, not just Mauritius, not just Europe, not just, I think globally was scaremongering. And I didn't necessarily agree with the narrative or the things that everyone was being made to do. And obviously, everybody has their own opinion of COVID. But that actually was a huge catalyst to looking into more of a alternative kind of way of looking at your health and actually taking your health actually into your own hands, and things like doing your regular blood work and looking into your own results, knowing what you should be looking for, actually being like proactive rather than reactive, stopping things. Obviously, can't foresee everything, but just taking much more of a proactive, hands-on approach. And I think COVID was a massive, massive
I agree with
tool
you.
for
It
me.
changed me so much.
Yeah,
You know, even the way I exercise, because we were not allowed to go to gym
Yeah.
and do the activities. So, but you still need to do something about yourself. And suddenly you can do it all.
yeah,
You can do it at home. You can do it in a small little corner.
yeah,
You can walk, around, even around your house, you
Yeah.
can walk.
yeah.
And that's amazing. It's so
Yeah.
true.
It I think for a lot of people it spurred that desire to take their health into their own hands. And also during COVID was where I learned about the biohacking movement, which essentially came out of America, by the American Dave Asprey, who was like a computer genius, a computer hacker, who was doing very well, I think, in Silicon Valley, but sick and overweight and quite unwell. So he essentially biohacked his own health and made himself this super happy, very, very in tune with every single element of his body. And so during COVID actually was where I learned about the biohacking movement and really got into
Yeah,
it.
he's trying to reverse aging, right?
Yeah, I think so. There's a few of them
Yeah.
trying to reverse aging. I'm not. I'm not going
You're not
that far.
reversing.
I think so.
We just own a natural, the pearls.
One step at a time. I mean, our whole premise is like remineralizing the body. Because today, and I touched on this at the beginning, a lot of people are tired, stressed, they're not sleeping, their hair's falling out, maybe they've got adult acne. And that's not for the lack of people wanting to be healthy and trying. But the reality is that modern life depletes us. Whether you're the working mum or whether you've got a high flying job or whatever it is, maybe, you're a stressed student or, the modern life is depleting us. And as we age and we get into, certainly the points of life where, if in, say, by your 40s, you're not on it, then you're setting yourself up for the later stages of your life to end up with serious kind of chronic diseases. So now's the time to do what you can to give yourself the best chance later on in life.
You know, I had a conversation with a lady, and they have a certain way of living, like the generations, they would live for many, many years. But my question was, you can live for many years, but what is the quality of your life?
Yeah.
You can live for 20 years in a horrible condition,
Yeah.
and all the family taking care of you, but is it really a living?
Yeah, exactly. And people generally are living longer now. Do you want to live those extended years, in chronic pain, or not be able to walk, or have a hip replacement, a knee replacement? No, I want to be skiing. I want to be playing with my kids. I want to be playing squash, or, whatever it is. I want to be doing those things. So, yeah, this really fed into the narrative of our business of, and we were feeling depleted and tired. And, I particularly have a huge issue with sleeping. I always have. Really light sleeper. If I'm stressed, I don't sleep very well. And, essentially starting the brand really fed into that because, as I say, we were shattered. Just by eating healthily or in doing all the right things, it isn't necessarily enough. The quality of our water is not great anymore. The quality of our soils, every season they get more and more depleted. That gives a knock-on effect to the quality of our food. All of these things, you're putting them in your body takes all these nutrients. If it's not getting the nutrients from food, where is it getting the nutrients from?
Exactly.
Got to supplement it.
And tell me about your love story with Talia. Your love story, your partnership.
Yeah.
How did it start? Like, you're from UK, Talia is from the States.
Yes.
You both live in Mauritius.
Yeah.
As I understood, you both moved during COVID time, right?
So I was here a little bit longer. I've been here for 10 years. I think Talia was here during COVID. So I think she must be 5-6 years now. And I essentially met her husband because we play squash together. And we'd have our, every Wednesday, our regular little squash sessions. And on the squash court, you chit-chat and you catch up about life, business, kids, you talk. So every Wednesday we'd have a little catch up in between our rallies, and essentially, Daniel was like, "You've got to meet my wife. You've got to meet my wife. You'll love her. She's really into fitness and health, and she's a Pilates instructor." And so yeah, it's essentially through her husband that we introduced, and we immediately hit it off. Immediately, and very, very quickly we became good friends, and literally came at this painful problem from a very, very similar perspective, and started the business.
So how the idea came up?
Well, the concept came initially from being this byproduct of the pearling industry, this very, very rich.
Just remember the place. How did it start? Like time of the day?
Time of the day. So I'll tell you, we were on a boat.
Okay.
Going out to Coin which is obviously one of our gorgeous islands. And we were discussing the business plan on the boat on the way to Coin By the time we got there, we were like, let's do this. That was basically the...
I love the story about the name.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me the story.
So choosing a name for anything, a brand, is even choosing a name for your own kids is quite a process. It's not easy choosing a name, and especially when you've got someone else, you want both people to be really happy with that name. So eventually, obviously, we decided on Naka. And actually, Naka is the product. So the product is Naka, but with a different spelling. So it's NACRE, or in French, it's pronounced Lanac. and in English it's Nacre. So we just changed the spelling and added a K. So the name of the brand is the name of the product. So we just thought, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it
I love that.
easy. It's a name that you can pronounce in different languages. Obviously, being here in Mauritius, it's very French and very English speaking.
So you have decided to have Mauritius as your test ground.
Yes, exactly. So obviously, both this being our home country, as I say, we spent about a year and a half first before we launched. And during that time, we were kind of deep in the planning and the strategy and, who's our target audience, how we're going to position ourselves. And during that period, we decided that we were going to launch here as the test market, mainly because Mauritius is small enough, but big enough in order to us to, there's enough of an audience for us to test the market and get the feedback that we need. So, and also it enabled us to launch here in a relatively inexpensive way compared to like a major city. So it was reasonably cost effective and it enabled us to reach our audience and actually get feedback directly from our audience. So right in the early days of launching, when somebody would order online, we'd get the little ting, with Shopify, and we'd drive down and deliver ourselves. Like, didn't care where it was. I wanted to knock on the door
And to see your client.
give the Nacre bag to the customer and be like, so, why did you buy it? What's your painful problem? Can you feedback?
Can I enter the house?
So literally sort of asking a million questions, in those early days. And I still remember now our very first customer, a lady called Natalie. She was our very, very first customer. She's still a customer now. So yeah, that's the great thing about Mauritius is that you have the ability to do that. Whereas if you're in a big city, it's not realistic.
I had an interview with Anga,
Yes.
our singer in Mauritius, and her strategy was in the beginning to go international. And when she would approach different festivals and they say, become a star first in your own country. And then you will see that the doors will be open. And it's so true.
Yeah.
You have this base.
Yeah.
And what I love about Mauritius, the people are very loyal.
Yeah.
So when they are into you.
No, that's definitely one of the things that we found. And having access to the clients has been much easier in Mauritius than what it would be in a big city. One of the amazing things that we've managed to do is build a community. So we have a Club Nacre community, and we were really clear that we wanted to build a community right from the word go. So we started right from the very beginning with Club Nacre, and our loyal customers and friends, or customers that actually have also become friends as well, meeting people through this business, and especially similar people in the industry as well, or that just have a genuine interest in health and wellness. So we've slowly built this kind of loyal customer base that we love, that we absolutely love. And we do all these different events and little community days. And obviously being in Mauritius, we've got, the Indian Ocean at our fingertips. So we do lots of, different events on the water, or, wellness events.
Which is a dream.
It is. It's great. So we've managed to engage with our customer base in a really genuine kind of non-salesy way that's helped build that audience, and we really feel that we've got the that sort of authenticity and that.
And if someone would ask you, let's say 20 years ago, could you imagine yourself building a wellness brand?
I always wanted to build a brand. Always. From my early days back in Adland. I just knew I wanted to build a brand. I didn't know what it would look like at that time. But yeah, I knew that I would build something.
And many people, they want to build something, and then the partnership, when you do it with someone, sometimes it can go sideways, or sometimes it can lift each other so much. How is it working for you in Talia?
Well, we took a risk. We didn't know each other very well when we first decided to create the business. So there was definitely an element of getting to know that person. It's like a marriage, but we definitely have complementary skill sets. So our vision is like united, and our goal where we want to take the brand, we're really in sync and in tune with that. But often we'll come at things from a different perspective, which is actually quite refreshing, because if you have someone with the same skill set, it's actually duplication. So it works really well having complementary skill sets. But there was definitely an element of finding your feet. And, the reality is you don't agree on everything. It is like a marriage. You are in a relationship with someone that is incredibly intense, and only the two of you really know what is going on to build this business. Like, no one else really knows the level of work and intensity and the issues and the wins as well as we do. We speak about 20 times a day, and have a million WhatsApp groups. And so yeah, it definitely is a very unique relationship. But like any relationship, you don't always agree. That's life. But I think when you on certain things that you don't agree, you just have to find a way of you find a solution, like anything. You have to.
And I love your story. How did you take your brand to Paris for the trade show?
Yeah.
Where you were guys completely not prepared for that?
It was hilarious. So it was our first leap of faith, talking about the brand publicly. So up until that point, we'd spent the last kind of year or so hidden away in an office, just working between the two of us on this, this thing. And Paris was the trade show at Paris was our first opportunity to actually get ourselves out there and start saying the name in public, because we hadn't spoken about it in public before, apart from a few people in our inner circle and our husbands. So we booked ourselves to this trade show. We were just not ready at all. It was absolutely hilarious. Got some hats printed, and I should have brought this packaging with me. It was just hilarious. It was awful. We had this flimsy sort of mock-up, this paper mock-up printed, and this little plastic tub, and it was just, we were completely unprepared. Off we took ourselves to this trade show, and we started talking about the brand as if, there was nothing wrong with our display material. And we just didn't even blink an eye at it. And we were, really got into this sort of rhythm of selling the brand and talking about it. And as each day we got on, we got more and more confident. But now I look back at it, I was like, oh my God, it was hilarious.
But what do you think gave you this show, this move?
Well, we had to get it out there. We had to break the seal and start. Because
I love that.
If you just wait for perfection, you're never gonna.
This is such a strong message that you just need to start.
Just got to start. Yeah.
Because otherwise there will be never a perfect moment.
No. And you can change things as you go along. I love things to be perfect if possible. And I will rework and rework and rework to the 25th edit, to the point where Tyler will be like, okay, stop. We've got to just let it out. And then, but you can change things later on. You can evolve. We're going through changing all the website at the moment. Again, the first version of the website suited us for then, but it doesn't suit us now. We've evolved from there. Our messaging's changed. We've grown into the brand. We're much more confident now than what we were, back then in Paris, with this idea that we thought was going to be successful and we believed in.
You were like, oh my God, we're going to take over the world.
Yeah. But now feel that we've proven the concept here in Mauritius. Like, we know it works. We are proud of the product. We believe in the product. Our customers on a weekly basis will come up to us and say, your product is amazing. My hair stopped falling out, or my inflammation has gone, or my skin is so much better, or my eczema is cleared up.
That's incredible.
And people will stop us in the street or stop us at the gym, or the messages that we get on the reviews on our website.
What was the most surprising feedback you had?
I don't know if there's one particular one, but there are a few of our customers that have become our friends that will say your product has changed my life. I'm especially for a woman, if your hair is falling out, it's such a personal thing, and takes over your confidence. So when you've got a woman saying to you, your product has changed my life because my hair stopped falling out, super powerful.
And let's say you try different supplements on the market, right?
Yeah.
Did you feel that it's not working? Like, did you ever had like kind of frustration?
Yes, I'm a supplement junkie. I love supplements. I'm so into the
anything
supplement
that works
space. Like, obviously I take pearl powder, but I take other supplements as well. But I am now, I think, being in the space and working in the space, I'm a lot more mindful about the supplements I take, and check the ingredients as well. So one of our major points was that because the product is so natural, so it's full of marine minerals, it's jam-packed with all your trace minerals and amino acids, and naturally occurring. These shells are 3.5 million years old. And so we were adamant that we did not want to fill the capsule with any like filler or binder, which is what a lot of the supplement brands do. So when we were capsulating the product, because the product is so pure, the amount of powder was too small for the capsule, for like a standard size capsule. So
you mean it looks smaller?
It didn't fill the capsule. So our partner said, oh, you can get a capsule and put some filler in it to make up the capsule size. And we were like, no, why would we do that? So we've got to buy filler or a binder just to make it big enough for the bigger size capsule. Like, no, why don't we just use a smaller capsule? So you'll notice that the capsules that we use are much smaller than a standard size capsule because it's not filled with anything. Like, why do we have to fill it with a product that is nothing? Just because it's the industry norm. It doesn't make any sense.
You know what I noticed, that in many supplements or things that you take, it's just out there. I don't know, here and there is advertisement. But what you guys did, you built the community.
Yeah.
So you want to communicate directly to your clients.
Yeah.
And
that was a huge thing from the word go, the community element. Like, we knew that we wanted a community. So we put that effort in right from the very beginning. So the community is called Club Naker. And we just have these amazing ladies. It's all ladies. It's open to men as well. It's all ladies at the moment. of these genuine women that love the product. We do all these different Club Naker events that's just for our community that we don't publicize. We only invite the Club Naker community. We do all sorts of things.
I think men, it's still in the family come from the woman,
Yeah.
the food we eat and things that we make and the home religion, let's say, that we dictate in the family. And then the guys will follow.
Yeah. I'm sure the guys will follow.
Mothers, we are mothers anyway.
Yeah.
When you started, so let's say it's been 3 years, right? Since you guys...
yeah, about 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Yeah. And now you are more communicating with different brands. You see different supplements. Is your perspective from 2.5 years ago and now change on the industry?
Yes, it has. There's a lot of noise in the industry. It can be quite overwhelming, the amount of products available. It's definitely changed. Even over the last couple of years, more and more brands are coming to market. But with that brings more and more noise. So now I am really aware. If I take a supplement, I will look exactly what is in it. And I won't take any supplement that has any ingredient that aren't natural or that have any unnecessary
So if I'm looking at
binders.
the bottle, what things I should look at not to take?
Yeah, so it's anything that is, with a binder or a filler or a gum or an artificial flavoring or preservative. Anything that is preserving I don't take.
So how would it damage, let's say, your health, or what would it do to you?
Obviously, everyone's different, but I find it irritates my gut. So for me, gum is one of the worst things. It really, I think I must be allergic to it. But obviously, it affects everybody differently.
So, there was those gums for kids to take, like vitamins that have like 30, 50 vitamins inside. It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. No. How can you...
It's like those, Haribo teddy bears, but in pharmacy.
Yeah. There's a lot of noise now. Like one of the supplements I've actually stopped taking is collagen.
Yeah, that's a big trend now.
Yeah, it is, and there's very much. I think some people are pro collagen, and some people are not anti collagen, but some people are not into collagen. Just because you're taking collagen doesn't mean that it's giving you collagen. Your body doesn't necessarily absorb it as collagen. It's absorbed as amino acid. So that doesn't necessarily mean that it delivers collagen. Collagen's not going to harm you. But there's a lot of research about collagen, a lot of recent research says it doesn't necessarily deliver collagen in the way that it's marketed. Collagen industry has done an amazing job at marketing itself. It's not to say that collagen is bad to take. I just don't take it for myself anymore. I used to take it though, thinking that it was delivering collagen to me, but it doesn't quite work like that.
So what do you replace it with?
Pearl powder.
Okay.
That's one of the things that the benefits of pearl powder is that it stimulates your own collagen supply through a pearl protein called conchiolin, which is actually what makes pearls iridescent. So it's that shiny layer that you see on pearls. That's a pearl protein called conchiolin. The shiny element you see in my earrings. So that is your collagen stimulating protein.
That's amazing. I love that question when I was preparing. Let's say you have 2 daughters.
Yeah, two
and
girls
a
and
son.
a boy. Yeah.
And let's say if in 20 years they go on YouTube and watch their mommy talking about it, what would you like them to learn from that conversation?
Well, this is my first ever interview I've done with you, so
You're doing
I'm
amazing.
hoping that they don't think that I look like, too. I hope that they see the dedication and the work ethic. I think that is one thing that I want to pass down to the kids is you can do anything you want. You can be anyone that you want within reason, but you got to work for it. You got to put in the work. You got to put in that dedication and that effort. It's not all glitz and glamour. The majority of it isn't. The majority of what we're doing is late nights, early mornings, lots and lots of time in front of the computer. That's the majority of it. Running around, trying to do a million things at once, juggling. But it's consistency and not giving in when the chips are down. Sometimes you go through weeks or months where things aren't going to plan, or maybe we've made a mistake, or maybe something's happened, or you just got to keep on going. It's problem solving every day. So yeah, I hope they see the strong work ethic.
And starting a business in your 40s with 3 kids.
Yeah. I think starting the business in my 40s, I think it's actually been a good thing because you have a network by then, and you have a certain amount of life experience and business experience and experts that you can call on. Like I call in a lot of favors from a lot of friends that are working in the industry or in adjacent industries, and you're utilizing the resources you have around you. Like I've been utilizing my husband's resources a lot to try and leverage on the experience and the network that we have. So I've certainly been putting in a lot of favors.
I love that. There is a different perspective to it.
Yeah.
Because many people say, listen, I'm tired. I have so many kids. My golden era has passed. But I do believe that it's just the start, because all what you had, up to 20, you had your childhood, you were, the God was building you up, let's say. As from 20 to 40, you were just making an experience and, grabbing this life. And now with all the experience, you can actually live and create things.
Yeah, definitely would draw on our life experiences and different roles that you've had in different times. You're thinking, right, okay, I've got that contact in this industry that can maybe help with this, or as you navigate through the different stages of the business, you're calling on different people to help you. Certainly when you're younger, you don't have that experience or maybe that network to call on. It's been a huge help.
Or even the confidence.
Or the confidence. I think definitely in your 40s, you're not as self-conscious. You don't necessarily mind so much what people think. You've got the confidence just to get out there and do it.
And just to wrap it up, I want you to share specifically your morning ritual that you will never skip.
My morning ritual that I never skip is I get up. No, I'm an early riser. I get up super, super early before anyone else. And the first thing I do in the morning is I break the fast that you've been on from the night before with salted electrolytes and lemon water, and then a cup of bone broth. So that is, and then a cup of tea, a cup of English breakfast tea in a pot that I have in the mornings. That is the morning ritual that I don't ever stop doing. Doesn't matter where I am in the world, I'll start my day with that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Alex, for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
I love that, inspiration in 2 ladies partnering up with all these kids around with, comfortable life that you don't really need to strive for things, but you still do. And it's such an inspiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Bravo. Thank you.